Whew. Man, what a day it has been. Well, me. For some reason, and due to the script telling me what to do, I feel very sleepy. Oh well, I guess it's time to hit the hay. I make cringy content, what do you expect? Good night, Sonic control holder. Good night, coffee machine. Good night, Flowey the flower. You wanna know something? It's been over 2 years since I've started to live on my own, and I've gotta say, I'm really loving it here. Yeah. Everything about this place is just perfect, and for the first time in what feels like in a long time, I feel there is absolutely nothing that can bring me down. Wait a second. It feels like I'm repeating the same scenario all over again. Oh well, nothing bad can happen now. Oh god, not again! What is this place? Where am I? Where's all my stuff? And where's my shirt? I thought I was wearing a blue one. I suppose the only thing that did came with me in my PC and my new computer desk that I built. But other than that, everything is gone. Oh, son of a hyperlink blocked.
Well, Toby Fox, it took you a while, but it's nice to see you back. You have delivered some pretty great games over the years, like Undertale and the first chapter of DeltaRune. After its release and just finishing chapter 1 of DeltaRune, here I was sitting on my computer with nothing to play and feeling bored, until Toby Fox, like an angel descending from the clouds, came down and gave us the second chapter of DeltaRune. It only felt like yesterday that I played chapter 1 for the first time, even though that chapter came down in 2018. God, I feel old. And many people were buzzing over the game and figuring out how the story could go from there once we saw the ending. And now we can all sit back, relax, and finally bask in the glorious world that is DeltaRune the second chapter. Now I have done a playthrough gameplay series on DeltaRune Chapter 2, so if you'd like to see my reaction to the bits and pieces during the entire game, the link will be down in the description box below or somewhere in the comment sections. Just a quick plug I had to make before moving on. It is pretty cool to learn that the entire game has 7 chapters to go through, so expect Chapter 7 to be released by 2065 from my point of view. It's gonna be the new GTA 6 meme. What new adventures will Chris and Susie come across? Will Chris end up babysitting Papyrus like what Sans said, or will Chris end up channeling his inner soul and go to the dark side? Well, I guess we can't find out just by talking about it. Well, technically we are, but you know what I mean. Now, by any chance, if you haven't seen my review on the first chapter, then it is recommended that you check that one out first before moving along, just for the sake of story continuation.
Come here. Come on. Yeah, there you go. So quick and so it's so fast. You see, this is my Morgana in the real world. He's so cute. Say something. Say something. Okay, you just want to chill out for a bit. So now it's time to talk about this game. Now, I enjoyed Chapter 1, mainly because of the gameplay and the soundtrack. But now, it is time to see how Chapter 2 holds up.
The story begins with Toriel waking up Chris. At first, Toriel hears about Chris holding a knife. The viewers assume Chris had done something horrible with the knife, but as it turns out, Chris ate all of the pie and was using the knife to cut the pieces. Obviously, Toriel is not impressed. And here's our main character, still looking creepy as hell with a thumbs up seal of approval. As Chris makes it to the classroom, we also see Susie with a new look, which is nice, and when Birdie was making a speech about the assignment we had to do, Chris ended up falling asleep, which is something I would do as well, to be honest. Both Chris and Susie can't stop thinking about what happened in the Dark World in Chapter 1, and they tried to go back, but they are catched by surprise by Noelle. Noelle invited Susie and Chris with her and Birdie to the library to work on the assignment together, but Susie told her that they have plans, and that plan is for Susie and Chris to be alone in the closet. Nothing weird happens in there whatsoever.
Chris and Susie are simpy!
They eventually make it back to the Dark World, and after doing a fetch quest, we see that everyone is now visible, and all of your favorite characters are here. Rousey, the Italian pastry guy, the main villain from the first chapter all locked up in his cage, Roxas Cod, and Lancer, to name a few, are all here. We had to leave due to actually starting homework, so we went to the library, but no one came. I mean, no one is here at all. I'm still feeling the effects of Undertale's genocide run. Until the same feeling both Chris and Susie had in Chapter 1 came back, and now, with a new dark fountain appearing, they felt the sudden urge to go into that world and seal the fountain once again. We go into that world and discover Noelle is here, but she is captured by a new villain named Queen, a robotic computer who is very airheaded but also sarcastic as well. And now our main objective is set into motion. Rescue Noelle, stop the Queen, and seal the Dark Fountain. The story in Chapter 2 is really enjoyable, and I absolutely love it more than Chapter 1. I believe the reason why is because in Chapter 2, we have recognizable characters from Chapter 1 that have already been established, and we now know their personalities as characters. So now in Chapter 2, we can bring in new characters to interact with them, and oh boy, it's pretty cool to witness it. Queen is an amazing addition to DeltaRune. Every time I see her, I automatically know that something funny or awesome is going to happen. And 9 times out of 10, that's always the case.
Stop everything? Chris, get the banana right.
Potato.
What was the point of that? Toby, what was the point of that banana?
Not only that, but I also enjoyed Noelle having more spotlight and a bigger role to play in. I don't even want to know what she's looking at right now. Spamton is a cool character I came to love with being a salesman but also looking a bit unstable at times. But Birdie, aka Chicken Nugget Man, is an awesome character. I love his backstory and how much he wants to be popular but knows deep down he's not that very bright. And plus, him being a nerd and a gamer gets points for me instantly. As far as the graphics go, it's roughly the same as Chapter 1, but I like how in this new dark world you visit, it is clean, crisp, and really nice to look at. From the smooth and groovy place called Cyberworld to the bright lights of the city, the graphics here are just how I remembered, and it's all nicely detailed and beautifully created from Toby Fox himself. The transition from entering the castle town is cool, and I enjoyed the new animation they added too. And the moment I saw the game sliding down, avoiding the objects and landing in Cyberworld while listening to the music, A Cyber's World, made my jaw drop.
This is pretty cool. Oh, whoa. What? Dude, what?
I should mention as well that you may have noticed the black square and the logo of the game on the upper left corner, and that's because I was recording on my PlayStation 5 instead of my PC, and that's just what happened. I literally have no reason why it's there, as I've been trying to figure it out, but I have no idea. My opinion of the gameplay and combat is the same as Chapter 1 because there's not much difference with the exception of one. So, since I have gone over the combat and the gameplay back in Chapter 1, this section will be brief.
So while we continue on this topic, I'll be drinking some of the finest beverage DeltaRune Chapter 2 has to offer, which is battery acid.
You have your usual gameplay mechanics. You travel around, finding items, dark money, and ready yourself to battle against the enemies. One major add-on to make the combat more interesting is the new recruit system. Since Castletown is now a hub area for you and every character, you can spare your enemies and recruit them to Castletown. They will have a number on how many times you've recruited a single enemy, but once you completed the goal, they'll later on join with the others at Castletown. However, if you did miss some, you will have to go back to certain areas to tick that list off, and it may result in some backtracking, which is something I'm not a fan of. It's not as bad as Crash Mine over Mutants, but it is still pretty annoying here. Having said that though, and continuing on to the combat sections, Toby Fox did manage to bring back the sense of discovery that made me love Undertale's gameplay. In my Chapter 1 review, I mentioned that the trial and error of sparing an enemy and witnessing some awesome dialogue and learning from your mistakes weren't really present. But in Chapter 2, the sense of discovering is back, and you can see just how much detail has been added, like making a music group dance with you or delivering medicine to an enemy. It's always cool to see something new and funny with the ways to spare a foe that'll eventually turn into your friend. And as always, the comedy is just pure gold. It seems like Chapter 2's comedy bar just raised up and presented some very entertaining moments. This is the type of comedic value I expect from Toby Fox, which is taking something that's been exposed to the general public and making fun of it, like what Trey and Matt do in South Park. Like for example, Spampton telling us to like, share, and subscribe to Hyperlink Blocked.
And speaking of that, this does give me the reminder to tell you all to remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to see more NFTs. I mean, more content is what I meant to say. It's a joke. Okay? Fuck NFTs. There's no way I'm gonna do that shit. No, not by a long shot, okay? It's a joke!
Point is, the comedy here never gets old, and I always find myself either chuckling or laughing my head off. I know this part I'm about to mention will sound like I'm on repeat, but it is without a doubt 100% true when I say this. The music is absolutely fantastic, and definitely would say that it sounds more fresher, more updated, and has more of a beat than Chapter 1. Of course, you have some of the OST from Chapter 1 included into Chapter 2, like Lancer, Empty Town, and Rude Buster, which is still the goat around here. But in Chapter 2, you have some very classy and catchy music. From A Cyber's World, Welcome to the City, Now's Your Chance to Be A, and Ferris Wheel, to name a few. I always find myself bopping around to the music regularly because of how great each instrument and tone sounded. It's something I always expected from Toby Fox himself, and I love it, and even hummed the tune to some of my favorites music to this day. The one thing I did notice throughout the game, and it did distracted me multiple times, is whenever you're in a conversation with a character in the Dark World, everything and everyone will freeze and stand still until the conversation ends. It was a bit annoying for me, not the worst thing in the world, but every time it happened, I lost focus of what's going on. It definitely reminded me of Oblivion when everyone freezed during the one-on-one discussion. But really though, other than that, there's really not a whole lot of complaints here. If anything from what I've mentioned earlier, it does feel like nitpicks, and realistically, that's exactly what they are, but the gameplay never slowed down for me, and I was still enjoying this game despite the small complaints. The bosses in the second chapter of Deltarune are good, and they are an improvement over the first chapter. I felt there was a bit of challenge this time around, as I caught myself dying a few times over Birdie and Spampton's boss battle. And eventually when you get to Queen's boss battle, it turns into something pretty awesome. Each of the bosses here have different methods on how to beat them, and you can either fight them or use your axe to try and find a different approach. And once again, and I can't mention this enough, the boss music really does take these battles to a whole new level. Ah, Birdie's doing the chef kiss, that's just the cutest thing ever.
This is the part that I would end my review to give all my thoughts, but we do have one more thing to mention, and some of you may know what's coming.
All jokes aside, what I was trying to say is, what if I told you that while you will get the same ending regardless, as of course in DeltaRune your choices don't matter, but you can alter the story progression and change its course. And that's where the Snowgrave run kicks in. Think of it like the genocide run of Undertale, but instead of the main focus, which was killing everyone, the focus here is taking Noelle and telling her to do things she is uncomfortable doing. That's pretty fucked up. I haven't really tried it out myself, but from what I've heard from many people online from YouTube and Reddit, they seem to enjoy it. And as for me at least, I can give this game praise for its replay value. And that was DeltaRune Chapter 2. I really enjoyed the first chapter, and my opinion on the second chapter remains the same, but I believe the second chapter is better than the first one. The issues I had in the first chapter are fixed, and chapter 2 presented some amazing new characters, a funny but engaging story, and an addicting soundtrack. Now, as far as scoring this game is concerned, I am holding it off, as I would much rather score the entire game of DeltaRune than scoring each chapter, as it is technically still a demo from my eyes at least. But will I still go on to say and recommend trying this game out? Absolutely. Chapter 1 and 2 of DeltaRune will bring out so much joy to the player and delivers a fun, exciting, and overall will give you a lot of enjoyment.
So now all eyes lay on the third chapter of DeltaRune, and whenever that game comes out, you'll know that I'll be there to play that game on day one. But anyways, thank you for watching this review, and if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, the links will be down in the description box below. My name's Cheese and Crackers, telling you to keep calm and keep playing video games. You alright? You good?